Hello, this is James Marlowe. It's the 20th, I believe. 20th? Yep, 20th of February 2012. And the time is 19:25. A bit earlier. Oh, my hair's awful, he said vainly. Bit earlier today because got to tidy my room later and don't leave us to the last minute. Not good. Had an interesting lesson today. For the first time today, I took the A2 English literature group. Now, it's quite intimidating me doing English literature, especially at A2 level. A2 level because it really matters, and you don't really have too much of a second chance with that kind of stuff. So it's quite pivotal. So I'm aware of my. It's awful, isn't it? Oh dear. So I'm aware of my responsibility. Also, it's A2 literature. So I've not got an A level in English literature. I've got an A level in English language and literature. Literature. I can't say the word, let alone teach it. And so it's a bit disconcerting being expected to teach something which I couldn't get an A in if I took it today. So, and I think that's kind of a skill as a teacher you should have. So I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I mean, I can't do the course. Um, so I was a little intimidated. So beginning of the lesson, I was really quite nervous and was quite mechanical in my delivery. And the students didn't really like that. I could tell they were just silent, and it was kind of a bit rubbish. And I said, halfway through an exercise, I said, right, I'm going to learn your names now because I should have done that when I came in and I didn't. And that'll make it better. I said that last bit, that'll make it better in my head. So I went around the whole class, left to right, and I said, what's your name? Where do you come from? No, I didn't say that. And they told me their names, left to right. And then, straight away, right to left, I said what their names were. They looked impressed. I was impressed. There was one moment though, I couldn't remember the name of the penultimate girl. I remember the last girl, her name was in my brain, I knew it. But the second one, I couldn't quite remember. And when it got to her, I took a little bit longer to think of her name. And there was a kind of a feeling in the class, and I think someone actually said, or some words to the effect of, wouldn't it be awful if you just forgot yours? And I thought, oh no. And I went, awkward. Because the kids like that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't like it. I'm a bit too, it's a bit below me. But the kids like it. I did it for the kids. So whilst they were laughing, I remembered that her name was, I won't tell you her name, it's a safeguarding nightmare. But I remembered her name and I said her name and she smiled. And then I said the last girl's name, and then we all continued the lesson really, really, really nicely, and it was lovely, and we really, really bonded as a group. Towards the end of the lesson, we were looking at Shakespeare's Sonnet 116, which goes something like, it's one of the ones about love. I can't remember. It's love does not alter when an altercation finds or bend with the remover to remove. Love is an ever fixed mark. Fixed mark. It can see out tempest and look on the edge of doom. And if that's false, no man has. I've never writ, nor no man has ever loved. That's the skinny on that sonnet. And it's quite a passionate, deep sonnet about love. And we were in full force analysing this poem when the three girls who had walked in late, one of their names I couldn't remember during the name bit, and they started giggling, and it says a lot about my mental state and my youth, I suppose. when I assumed that 3 teenage girls were laughing at me. That's bad, right? That is very bad, James, very bad. They wouldn't dare laugh at me, I realised in retrospect. I am the king of that castle. All the same, they were giggling. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And one of them said, "Oh, there's a bogey," and I was like, "Oh, is there?" Because occasionally you can get a bit flaky in that position. I didn't like the idea that they were laughing at something hanging from my nose. Anyway, it came to pass. It wasn't on my nose. It was on the nose of no, it wasn't on the nose at all. It was on the. I was going to say the nose of her chair, as if that's a thing. It wasn't. It was on like the. It was on the side of her chair, like on the seat, kind of hanging over. It wasn't so much a bogey as it was like crystallised snot. It was like hanging, like it was like a glacier, not a glacier, a stalactite. It was like a snot stalactite, kind of crystallised in bogey form. It's just hanging. And the class erupted in laughter. Ha ha ha. And I was laughing too. It's funny. It is a bogey. And I had to utter the lines which every teacher wants to utter at least once in their career, which goes, right, I'm going to give you all 1 minute to laugh at the bogey, and then we're going to get back to Shakespeare. And they laughed for a minute. We all laughed. And we bonded as a group. And we're all laughing at this bogey. So, right, minute's up. We're going to get back to Shakespeare now. So we start doing Shakespeare again. Lies not to an alteration finds, bend with the remover to remove, love is a never fixed mark, edge of doom, all of time. And if this be not true, no man, I've never written no more, no man's never loved. And the girl who had the bogey chair, she wasn't looking right. And we were still kind of in the throes of laughter. Not me and the girl, me and all the students, who I treat equally. You should read the equality section on my lesson rationals. And she wasn't looking right, and she couldn't stop kind of thinking about the bogey and looking at the bogey. And she's like, this is making me feel quite ill. But she wasn't moving anywhere, so I thought, it can't be too bad. And then she started retching. And I thought, I should have been thinking, oh no, what if she pukes in my class? I should have been thinking, oh no, what if I have to clean it up? I didn't really take her that seriously. And in the end, she just runs up out of her chair and runs out of the door like this. And one of the girls says, I think she's going to be sticking her hands. Sticking her hands. Oh dear. And she wasn't really coming back. Like, she got a bit of air. She wasn't really coming back. And one of her friends, the girl she was next to, said, shall I go out and see if she's alright? She didn't sound like that. But that's how all teenage girls sound. And I said, yeah, you should. So, with the bogey girl out of the room, we were free to discuss Sonnet 116, love will not alter when altercation finds or bend with remove to remove, love is an ever fixed mark, edge of doom, something about a sickle or a scythe, sickle it is. And if this is not true, no man has never written, I've never written, nor man has ever loved. And we finished analysing that poem. And it came to the end of the class, and the 2 girls still weren't back. And I said to the 3rd girl who was left, can you see them down the corridor? She said no. I said, oh, well, could you take their stuff out the room? Because I'm going now. Well, that's mainly what I was thinking, the last bit. Because I was thinking, well, I've got to leave at 3 so I can get the 15:19 train. Fact. I can't not get it. Because as you know, I've spoken of it before, the journey isn't amazing. Anyway. So, just as the class were about to leave, the girl and her friend, the bogey girl and her friend returned. She goes, I bombed. And my first instinct was to laugh, as was the instinct of the rest of the class, those 17-year-olds. That's the kind of It's kind of level I'm at, the 17-year-old level. And then I quickly didn't laugh because I'm the teacher and said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I am now." And I said, "Okay, leave." And got all the class to leave so I could leave, get, the 15:19 train. And as I was walking out of the room, I took a moment to have a good look at the crystallised stalactite bogey just hanging. I took a moment to look at it and thought, thank you. For you, crystallised stalactite bogey, have formed a bond between me and my class that cannot be forced or repeated in any fashion. You've made me special. You've made the relationship between me and my students something which will be able to build future learning on, which will make learning enjoyable and make me not dread Monday afternoons with this high responsibility class. Thank you, Mr. Taff. Thank you, Miss. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bogey Stalactite. And with that, I turned off the lights of the classroom, I shut the door, and I left. You'll be interested to know I did get the 15:19 train, but the train that arrived at 15:19 was the delayed 14:55. So good work, me. And I hope that story was of interest and of professional worth to you, or just interest. Anyway, good night.